So, Digby, it may have been a bit of a coincidence, but I think it was on Wednesday. Maybe it was on Tuesday we saw the polling. And maybe on Wednesday, then Stephen Miller went up and did his turn at the podium promoting an already introduced piece of legislation by Tom Cotton and Senator Perdue, basically shifting our immigration policies away from a family-oriented immigration policy where you're encouraging people to have their families come in to one that's more work-based and skill-based, which would effectively cut back on family immigration by about 85%, thereby cutting off legal immigration by 50%. And it was quite a show by this Stephen Miller, who I deem most likely to be written about by Hannah Arendt in the future.
Yeah, he's a real piece of work. I mean, there is no doubt about it. In fact, he's from my neck of the woods, he's from Santa Monica. And in fact, there's some famous footage of him not that long ago. He was in high school here at Santa Monica High running on a, sort of a white supremacist platform for the student body president. And he got booed by 4,000 students. And that was kind of the beginning of his career. He moved on to go to, I believe he went to, was it Duke or UNC, so. One of those, and actually was associated with Richard Spencer, the neo-fascist, neo-Nazi, famous most recently for being punched in the face on video. But he is very, very clearly affiliated with white nationalism. There's absolutely no doubt about it. He came up through Jeff Sessions in the U.S. Senate. He was one of Jeff Sessions' top policy guys, which, by the way, is where all this immigration stuff originated. This is the Jeff Sessions policy rollout. Tom Cotton and who's the other one who introduced it? Purdue. But this is a Sessions bill, basically, that he had been working on for many years in the Senate. And Sessions is in favor of stopping all illegal immigration for any reason. I mean, he's out there on the record saying that we don't need any more immigrants in our country. He calls it a pause. But basically that's, his view, and he has influenced the Republican Party pretty substantially on that. Even people like Scott Walker from Wisconsin, he had him putting that in his platform when he was still running for president. So, this is something that's sort of been churning around. This guy, Stephen Miller, who is a Sessions guy, but he's also a Bannon guy, and Bannon and Sessions are very close. And this white nationalist agenda, which is, as we were talking about earlier in the program, that, this stuff kind of waxes and wanes, for emphasis. But, when it looks as though the base might be getting restive, and which they are likely, in my view, because of the failure of the health care reform, showing that Donald Trump, the greatest deal maker in the world, couldn't get it done, they're disappointed. And so what do? You reach for immediately, you go and start talking down foreigners or, whatever it could be, law and order,
right,
or terrorists or African Americans or, whatever. You're going to find one of those, those sweet spots of his base and try and push it. I mean, that's my view. I don't know if you agree with that.
Oh, no, I totally agree with that. I mean, look at what we saw this week, okay? We saw the announcement that the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division are looking for lawyers to head up a new initiative to literally sue on behalf of aggrieved white people who feel that they didn't get into college because minorities or black people, generally took their place. And then that's followed up with this immigration bill. I mean, it is a complete, full-on play to shore up their white aggrieved base here. I mean, over the course of 48 hours, that's what we saw over the week. And it, here's the question, because you're right, there was that Quinnipiac poll which showed that Donald Trump dropped to his lowest approval rating ever and started to see significant erosion at white non-college graduates. That was his base or his biggest strength, and that support there is starting to erode. And so really, I mean, the question is, mean, why? What? They're obviously worried about the midterms, but there's no reason to be terribly panicked about his own electoral chances at this point. It is they want to reassert his ability to have leverage with the Republican Senate, it seems to me, right? Because they're not listening to him anymore. I mean, they are outwardly almost mocking him. Jeff Flake put out a chapter of his book early, it seems, to just, basically create some space between him and Donald Trump. And it seems like they're doing one of two things. One, they're trying to discipline the Senate and trying to say, like, look, you're not just screwing us over, you're screwing over all those white nationalists who vote for you if you're a Republican senator. And or there's another theory out there that what they're also signaling is like, hey, there was a lot of people who were upset when we started to threaten Jeff Sessions. And I think, I think that has a lot to do with this too. The weakness he showed in not being able to close the deal on Obamacare is one thing, but going after the grand wizard of the conservative movement, Jeff Sessions, in the White House, which it appeared Trump to do, I think set off a lot of bells, and they needed to basically come back and say, hey, we may be able to get rid of Jeff Sessions, maybe we won't, maybe we'll move him somewhere else, but don't worry. We are still just as racist and white supremacist and nationalist as we always were. This is bigger than one person. This is a movement of hate that will be around a lot longer.
We are with you.
We are with you. And I think I think that's what this week was really about in many respects. Obviously, Kelly going in and saying to Sessions, we got you back, and we're going to show all your peeps, too. Look, we're going after affirmative action. We're going after the immigrants. We may not get anywhere with that, but we're going to signal to our people that we're there with them.